Well, guys, hope you're doing well. Today, we're going to analyze the face of Brooke Shields. But I know some people have told me that I can't analyze faces properly and that I just copy other people's content. So after this video, you guys will decide whether I can really do this job or not. And if you want your facial analysis, sexual market value analysis, and appeal analysis, analyzed by real-life girls, be sure to visit my page and join my Patreon. I have 7 different criteria to analyze a face: eye area, jaw region, front profile, side harmony, features, dimorphism, and overall harmony score. Let's start with the eye area. Looking at her, we can say that she has a very good-looking eye area. Her eye aspect ratio is 3:1, which results in almond-shaped eyes. The ideal range for females is 2.55 to 3.2, so she falls right in the ideal range. Her eye canthal tilt is 7.3 degrees, which is ideally positive and upturned. Her eye separation ratio is also ideal, sitting at 46.6%. It's neither too close nor too wide, which is key because extreme eye spacing tends to look off. Looking more closely, her medial canthus is slightly downturned, which adds a bit of character to her eyes. Her eyes are deep set, and her under-eye support is excellent. Moving on to her eyebrows. Her eyebrows are ideally low set for a female, and they're positively tilted at 11.8 degrees, which is also ideal. Her eyebrows are dark and thick, adding to the strength of her eye area. All in all, she has an excellent eye area. However, there are some minor flaws. Her eye spacing ratio is a bit wider than ideal, with her eyes being slightly more than one eye apart. Her eyebrows are asymmetrical, which is noticeable. These flaws deduct a few points, so I'd rate her eye area 9 out of 10. Next, let's analyze her jaw region. She has good jawline visibility. While it's not excessively sharp, it's still very feminine. Her jaw's frontal angle is 86.2 degrees, which is in the ideal range. Her begonile width to cheekbone width ratio is 85.2%, meaning her jaw is fairly wide, which is ideal. Her chin to philtrum ratio is 2.5 to 1, which falls within the ideal range. Her neck is about 86.5% of her jaw width, which is also good. The forehead width to jaw width ratio is 100%, which is ideal. Let's look at the flaws in her jaw region. Her lower third proportion is 30.8%, and the ideal range is 31.2% to 34.5%. She's just slightly below the ideal range. Considering these factors, I would give her 9.5 out of 10 for her jaw region. Now, onto her front profile. Her facial thirds are pretty much equal, with the middle third being the most dominant, which is ideal for a female. Her facial width to height ratio is ideal at around 2, and her total facial width to height ratio is around 1.3, which falls within the ideal range of 1.29 to 1.35. Some people say Brooke Shields has a short face, but after analyzing the data, I don't see that. Her cheekbones are set extremely high, around 95.1% of her mid-face length, which is the highest I've seen. Her mid-face ratio is 1.1, which isn't perfectly ideal, but still very good. Her ipsilateral alar angle is 89.2 degrees, which is in the ideal range. We've already discussed her jaw frontal angle, which is 86.2 degrees. The deviation between her ipsilateral alar angle and her jaw frontal angle is just 2.4 degrees, which is pretty much perfect. Her bitemporal width, the ratio between her cheekbone width and forehead width, is 85.5%, which is ideal. She has full lips, which adds to her front profile's appeal. However, she does have a couple of minor flaws. Her lip proportion is 1 to 1.3, which is a little lower than ideal because her upper lip is slightly too thin. The most significant flaw in her profile is her mouth-to-nose width ratio of 1.3, whereas the ideal range is 1.45 to 1.67. This is because her mouth is a bit smaller. After analyzing her front profile, I calculated her front harmony score at 95%, which is extremely rare and nearly perfect. Let's move on to her side profile. Her ramus to mandible length ratio is 0.6, so her ramus is ideally long. Her jaw shows great forward growth, which is complemented by her forward-grown maxilla. Her chin projection is excellent. Her gonial angle is ideal at around 118.1 degrees. Her nose is straight and upturned, with no dorsal hump. Her brow ridge projection is feminine, which suits her features. Her nasofrontal angle is 127.5 degrees, which is ideal. Her facial convexity is around 171.3 degrees, so her profile is almost perfectly flat. Her nasolabial angle is 15.6 degrees, slightly upturned but still within the ideal range. Even with all these perfections, there are a few flaws in her side profile. Her orbital vector is neutral, which isn't a flaw, but a positive orbital vector would be ideal. Her plane mandibular angle is 24.6 degrees, which is outside the ideal range but still not too steep or flat. Her mentolabial angle is 142.4 degrees, which is outside the ideal range, 93 degrees to 125 degrees. The space between her chin and lips may be a little shallow. Her nose is slightly overprojected. Her lip assessment shows some minor abnormalities. After considering these factors, her side profile scores 85% for harmony, and I would rate her side profile 8.5 out of 10. Let's now look at her other features. She has great skin complexion and smoothness. Excellent hair texture. Straight, white teeth with a beautiful smile. Her facial angularity is above average. Her coloring is excellent. She has fair skin, dark brown brunette hair, and bright blue eyes. The only minor flaw is that her hairline is asymmetric. I would give her 9.5 out of 10 for her features. Now, let's look at her overall femininity. Brooke's face is extremely feminine. I would rate her 9.8 out of 10 for femininity. With her front harmony score at 95% and her side profile at 85%, we place more importance on the front profile, which gives her a total harmony score of 92%. So, overall, Brooke Shields scores a solid 9.3 out of 10 facially. 1 in a million face, in my scale. Don't forget to visit my page and leave your feedback in the comments section.